So, a new box in the mail, and this time it's iPad mini. Reason why I've ordered this iPad is because I've saw a lot of YouTubers talking about it, and I thought to just test it out, to just give you an honest opinion whether you should buy this iPad or not. So this is the 64GB with just Wi-Fi. And immediately I've noticed that this iPad is returned back. This wrapping is not Apple's wrapping, and here's why. The packaging of the iPad, just like the packaging of the AirPods, has a tear-off tab. This one doesn't have one. I need to use my knife to unbox it, and that's not Apple's wrapping whatsoever. So that's a big red flag. Maybe I will just return this iPad back. But hey, since we're doing this unboxing, let's go ahead and unbox this iPad even further. So the very first thing that's notable is the iPad itself. Luckily, the iPad itself does have a packing sleeve. So the iPad mini has a sleek and a compact design, perfect for people who are a lot of on the go and want to be productive and entertained at the same time. So it features an 8.3-inch Retina display, and it's delivering vibrant colors and sharp details for an immersive viewing experience. And we know all of that. A lot of tech YouTubers have talked about it in details. What I want to show you is whether or not this iPad is right for you. But before we go over to that, this is a second sign that this iPad is returned back. This charging brick doesn't have wrapping as well. So yeah, a lot of red flags that this iPad is just returned back. So I'm not keeping this iPad whatsoever. So I can't use the quick start feature because I'm filming with iPhone, with my main iPhone. So let's just do it manually. Like you know, it's just the regular stuff. You just have to connect it to Wi-Fi, accept some privacy and data. And here's what distinguishes an iPad mini from, let's say, an iPad Pro. The iPad mini has Touch ID, whereas the iPad Pro has Face ID. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Some people prefer the Touch ID over the Face ID. So my iPad analytics, yeah, let's share it with Apple, no problem. And yeah, this is the display. It does have liquid retina display, but it's not XDR, so keep that in mind. The difference is that SDR has a brightness of 500 nits max, and the XDR can go up to 1000 nits max full screen, and it can peak up to 1600 nits, which is very bright. I'll make a video, a comparison video between the iPad mini and iPad Pro display very soon so that you can see that with your eyes. But believe me, it's a day and night difference. But what this iPad does support is the Apple Pencil. And as you see here, it takes every word I'm just scribing on it and it detects it very accurately. So double tapping on the Apple Pencil allows you to switch between the tools. So you can switch between a pen and an eraser. And with the Apple Pencil, you can scroll between pages. What this Apple Pencil can do is like scroll from the edges to get the control center, for example. Also, you can't just close apps from underneath like that. You need to use your fingers to do so. But now that we are all set up, let's look at the home screen. Here we have a selection of pre-installed apps such as Safari for web browsing, Messages for staying connected, and the App Store for accessing a world of apps and games. Also, to give you an idea how big this iPad is, I'm holding there an Apple Pencil, and it's nearly as big as the pencil itself. So it fits right into your hand palms, for example, if you want to read Kindle on it or Apple Books. But let's go and measure the thickness. This is something I don't recommend you to do at home because you might scratch your iPad. So it's about 6.64 millimeters thick, which is an equivalent of 0.25 inches. What about the security? Well, we have Touch ID, we don't have Face ID, and as you see here, it works very neatly. It's almost perfect. You just have to place your finger on it and the iPad unlocks itself. If you hold your finger on that Touch ID, you get the home screen right away. So you don't have to swipe right from underneath. It just gives you the home screen because it knows you will need that after unlocking the iPad. And now the million-dollar question, is this iPad capable to let you play your everyday games such as Call of Duty, Asphalt and all of that? Well, let's first connect this PS5 controller. By the way, if you don't know how to connect a PS5 controller to the iPad, it's very easy. You just have to hold that PS5 logo and the button on the left side, and eventually you'll find, or your iPad will detect that DualSense controller. Then just click the DualSense controller and you have that controller connected to the iPad. So let's go ahead and go to Apple Arcade, which is, by the way, a subscription model. And the game that I'm downloading right now is Dead Cells.
It was at this moment that he knew.
Yeah, ignore that. Let's go over to the game and see how it performs. But the most important thing is that your iPad don't get overheated. You can still manage to multitask between games and all of that. And your battery life needs to stay for a long time. And my first impression is that it works as a charm. Even though we have an A15 Bionic chip with 6-core CPU and 5-core GPU and 16-core neural engine, so there is no M1 or M2 chip underneath this hood, it works very great. I haven't experienced any lag or heatness from this iPad. I can just multitask between different apps and still go back to the actual app to play it even further. So if I would give it a number, I would definitely give it an 8 out of a 10. So that's something I do like about it. The thing that I'm still wondering is whether the battery will stay for a long time. And I don't think so. Apple says on its website that it will have like a 9-hour playback battery life if you're just surfing on the web. And most of the time, that's not very true. That's not accurate. Especially, well, if you have a new iPad, you might have that long of a battery time. But if your iPad is like a year old or something, you will start experiencing like a very low battery life. So keep that in mind. If you are someone who is gaming a lot on it, I will not recommend you to buy the iPad mini. Just go for the iPad Air or even the iPad Pro with the M2 chip. So yeah, that's actually it for this video. I hope you've liked it. I've just gave you a concise opinion about this iPad. Leave something in the comment section below if you think that I've missed something. Let me know if you have any question about it. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. That helps me a lot, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.